Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And today is very special because I'm interviewing three very talented filmmakers, also an actress and producer and writer. I've got with me today via Zoom, we've got actress, writer, and producer Kurat N. Kadwani. Hello.
Hi.
And she is the star and writer and producer of both films we're talking about today, The 5th of November and Show and Tell, both fantastic short films that deal with some very serious and important issues facing the world today. And I also want to welcome the directors of both films. We've got Sakshi Gurnani. Hello.
Oh, hi.
And also Javier Augusto Nunez. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So guys, thank you
Great.
for taking the time today. This is great. I got a chance to see both films last night. They're short films. I wanted them to be longer, to be honest with you, because they were so good. I just wanted to continue, the story. I got truly invested in all the characters, especially Kurat's characters. So that was great. These are very important films, and I just want to dive right in with Kurat. How did the 5th of November originally come about?
Well, I wanted to create a film that talked about mass shootings that plagued the U.S. And so I was looking for scripts that had content like that. I really couldn't find anything. I put out a call for scripts that had that topic. And then I realized, as with everything in my life, got to do it yourself. So I found Javier, who's a director, editor, and a writer. He co-wrote the film with me. And we went back and forth with the concept. He put it in the screenplay format for me because as an actress, I'm not familiar with all of the technical aspects of the screenplay writing. And we really got it together in about 6 months, 7 months, right, Javier? We started from the writing process to the filming.
Exactly, yeah, the whole process took maybe 6 months, something like that. Writing and developing the idea about maybe 3 months. We start having initially a lot of phone conversations, Skype meetings, discussing the ideas, how we should approach to this issue. And of course, we always have in mind that not only Kurat will be the lead talent, but also other persons that are in minority groups. So we always talk in African-American characters, Hispanic characters, just to have minority. And we craft the idea and we start writing, doing several versions of the script. And then we came to the story that we shoot. So that's pretty much 6 months, yeah. Writing 3 months, then pre-production maybe another month, and post-production 3 or 4 months also.
Okay, that sounds good. A lot of time and work went into it, obviously.
Yes.
Kurat, what were some challenges you guys faced on set?
On set, well, first of all, we filmed it in San Diego, so I flew out there. Javier got the production company together, a company that he'd worked with before on another project, so that was very helpful to me. The challenge that I've personally faced was, to be the executive producer as well as the main actress. I had to oftentimes say, I'm just the actress right now. No production, no financial questions right now, because it was just too confusing for me mentally to stay focused. I mean, we were shooting, 10-hour days. One day, I think it was like 14 hours. And I was so exhausted at points. And I had to compartmentalize. So there was one day where, before we started shooting at like 8 in the morning, I was having a meeting with the producer, right? So, and then shooting at 9 in the morning. We had to keep it moving that way. And I had to remind myself, look, there's a time to discuss the finances and the production aspects of it. And there's other times where I have to really focus on the acting.
I see. And I'm just curious, so you're obviously wearing many hats during production. What was it like kind of divorcing yourself from each role, from actress to writer to producer? Was that difficult?
Well, I tried to do all the pre-production aspects before we actually filmed. So Javier was instrumental in that. He really had a very tight ship. I'm so grateful for that because we really took care of all of the production items before shooting. And that way, when I got on set, I really had the opportunity to just focus on, you know, everything that's going on with Jane, the character, because it's such a emotional character, an emotional piece as well, that I had to stay focused on what the character's needs were.
Okay. Wow. It's great.
Do you agree, Javier? We did a lot before filming, right, Javier?
Yes, what you mentioned actually is very true. Cura did a lot of work in advance, and I helped, of course. I took the production, the directing side, all the creative, creating the shot list, creating the visuals, the aesthetic of the project, but also helping production because, of course, in the indie world, we used to have several hats. Mm-hmm. So thinking on the script, like thinking on locations, thinking on how we're gonna shoot this scene is always mandatory, but there is no like a industry budget in the projects. And I'm really surprised that Cura did all this work amazingly. It was fantastic to do all this collaborative process. So when we get on set, we were able to focus most of the times in the story, in the visual aspect, in the dramatic aspect. And we were able to organize the production nicely. And the success of the story relies on that. We were able to produce, to make a film. And of course, the editing to put together the story is a different stage, but we had material. We have a very good material. And actually, I think the story should be longer because we have more scenes that we cut to this version, but I really like one of the editing drafts that is about 24 minutes, but of course that one is too long for a short film. So going back to your very first comment, yeah, this story is open and it's meant to be longer.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a feature film in the near future, guys, for sure. For all of you.
Yes, we created it as a proof of concept so that we could really show it to investors and other bigger producers and say, look, the content of the film is something that you've never seen before, especially because it comes from the perspective of the lone survivor of a mass shooting. And we don't often hear about what the survivors of mass shootings, what they're going through after the shooting. You know, just recently, actually, in the news, we found out that some of the survivors of Columbine and other mass shootings, they themselves have been going through such trauma, such psychological problems, even committing suicide. We don't have the resources to support those folks. We don't hear about them. And that's really the aspect that I wanted to show in this film that says, you know, it doesn't end. The trauma doesn't end just with the shooting. It actually goes on and on, as pervasive in a person's life as they go on, even decades later. And that's something we really need to address.
And you mentioned before we started filming, you coined a phrase, or you gave me a phrase that stuck with it. What was it? Active? It was active.
Oh, artivism. Well, the combined art and activism together.
Yes.
So I like to create projects and be part of projects that are socially justice based, that combine art and activism, that really activate audiences into believing that we can make a change, that our voices are important, that we can make a difference. Surely, even now, states and legislators are battling to have gun reform, right? We hear that in the news all the time, and to prevent these weapons of mass destruction, these AK-47s or whatever they are, semi-automatics, even automatic guns that, you know, people are using, they show up and they commit mass shootings. Yeah. We just saw that in protests as well. And it's something that we really need to look at and change so that the right precautions are taken so that all these lives are not lost.
And movies like The 5th of November highlight that brilliantly, and it's very impactful. And I can't praise the film enough and say that it really needs a feature-length release. So,
what was your favorite part, Randy?
Yeah, for sure. No, this is one of the best shorts I've seen all year.
Oh.
And, yeah, I hope to see it expanded. You know, so.
Did you have a favorite part, Randy?
I like the I like the scene in the bar where you meet that guy and kind of seduce him, and yeah, it was pretty tense. And then yeah, just the acting overall was great, and so again, kudos, guys.
Awesome.
Now,
Thank you.
now, Sakshi, I'm so sorry. We're finally going to get to you.
It's completely fine.
You know, it's interesting reviewing two films at once like this when I have, you know, two separate crews rather. But Sakshi, your film not hide and seek, Show and Tell, it tackles wonderful issues. It's LGBTQ issues actually. So another very important topic in our world today. And you know, this film also, it blew me away, especially from the acting, the script, and of course the subject matter. This young boy who he's trying to find out who he is, and he's sort of gravitating towards gay, and his mother is totally against it. She played by Courette. And yeah, it's really just a very powerful story also in such a small amount of time, another short film. So how did this film come about, Sakshi?
Wow, how did it come? I think it's just like a lifelong thing. It has been a lifelong thing for me. Like, just, you know, at every stage in my life, I've come across either like some sort of incident where, you know, I've faced like a particular norm, gender norm that I've been made to follow. The fact that, you know, me wanting to, like, not wanting a pink room, for example, you know, or like going to H&M and finding out that the whole girl section is unicorns and the whole guy section is dinosaurs. Why?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like limiting imaginations in so many senses. So when Show and Tell is made as part of the SVA thesis film project. So that was like the one main project that I had to do through the year, and this is like a thought that I've had in my mind for the past 5 years. And obviously I developed it and it became something much bigger. But it's essentially like all of these experiences I've had in life. I once went, and I'm sorry, I'm constantly talking right now. I once went to a friend's place who had just had a baby, and she had a little niece also in the house and stuff. And it was 2:00 in the afternoon, and it was all women in the house. It was the mom, it was the daughter-in-law, and the daughter herself. And they were all in the kitchen, and they were getting us juice, and we were like having a great time. And then at some point, the niece got really comfortable with me, and she's like, "Hey, come, I want to show you some toys." And I was like, "Oh, great, you know, fun." I went, and she started showing me her toys, and it was a broom. It was a kitchen set. It was all of those things, you know. And I was like, I mean, this can't be everything that she's exposed to, right? And like, there has to be something more to this. And I feel like that's essentially where the thought started, and it eventually became what it became. Well,
that's crazy. And I don't think I've really seen a film quite like this that really, you know, shows someone's, you know, budding sexuality, especially at a young age, their interests, what their gender identity is. So, and I praise the young boy's performance in the film. He was absolutely fantastic. So, yeah,
he's a natural.
Was it difficult? How did you find him?
Okay, so I was really asking around, and it was really hard to find an Indian 7-year-old boy in New York, New Jersey, who would want to act in a short film. And I'm like, how am I ever going to do this, right? But through a friend, they came about, and they said that, hey, we have an Indian boy, like, and he's probably interested, and he's exactly 7 years old. I'm like, give him to me right now. And we met, and so it turns out that the mother is Sri Lankan and the father is Italian, so he was like from different cultures. And he came, and he was acting like he's the coolest guy on this planet, and he's like, I don't care about all this. And even like by the end of the audition, he's like, yeah, sure, but this is not that interesting. I don't think I want to do it. So I was like, no, I can't get turned down by a 7-year-old boy.
Oh my,
But
Eva right there.
yeah, I know. But turns out later I got a video message from his mom where he's apologizing to me and said that I'm just really nervous, and I tend to act like that when I'm really nervous, but I really really want to do this film. And I was like, oh my God, you're hired. It was
Wow.
yeah,
What
that's how it happened.
was Indian always the nationality you wanted the family to be, or were there other nationalities you were thinking about?
So, Indian is what I relate to the most, but in general, I feel like that is like the way the behaviorism of this particular family isn't just Indian. I think generally more South Asian and probably other like nationalities or cultures in general.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think the beauty of this film is that it's universal. It can be any ethnicity, any background can identify with the family in show and tell, because at the end of the day, the film is about will these Indian parents accept their son if he is part of the LGBTQ community?
Right.
You know, when I first read the script, rather, I thought, I have to read this again. What does this mean? What's going on? Because while the son is asking questions about what's gay, or I want pink ice cream, or, you know, I want to play with these dolls, he doesn't actually come out and say he's gay. He might not be gay.
Yeah.
But so it's actually more to do with us, the adults, and how we view people.
Right.
And what messages we're giving to children. And that's a universal concept. And this is about acceptance. And it fits into the LGBTQ dialogue, because will we accept our family member? Will we accept our friend? Will we truly accept someone else that we know if they do exhibit signs of, being part of that community, or if they actually do come out and say, I'm gay?
Yeah,
It's really a commentary on our psychology.
There's a lot of layers here, and it actually reminds you of a Seinfeld episode where they said not that there's anything wrong with that, you know. So
right.
But Huret, what was it like? You were kind of nasty in this role, I must say. No offense, but but what was it like getting into character as this quote unquote villain?
Well, you know, I didn't come from a place of anger in the film. I think the character Sonia, she is scared for her son because, and Sakshi and I talked about this as well, India has very recently come forth with changes, right, for gay marriage, for example, and even an acceptance for people who are part of the LGBTQ community. I know even growing up, there's a stigma, right? You stay away from those people. You're okay with it, but you don't want your family member to be gay. Mm-hmm. And that's where I came from. I have a line in the film. I have nothing against those people. I just don't want my son to be gay.
Right.
And I think that's where she is. She doesn't hate gay people. She just is ignorant on a lot of the conversation surrounding the issue. Right. As many people are, and as are people specifically in the South Asian community. We are, and a lot of other ethnicities as well. We're not really educated on the topic. We're not really, what are the messages that we're being told? Oh, it's against God. It's against the family structure. It's against marriage, right? This is at odds with what we want to feel, which is love. Yeah. And acceptance for somebody that we care about, no matter who they are or what they come out as.
Yeah. Extremely powerful stuff, and a lot of shades of gray there too. Now, Javier, I'm curious for you, sir. What is it like searching for material for your films, for subject matter? Do you tend to gravitate towards important topics such as gun control?
Yes, that's kind of one of the policies that I have as a writer director is always be connected to some sort of social issues, something relevant. Of course, telling stories with suspense or maybe a little bit of horror or drama, but always connected to something relevant, something to make a social commentary. So that's one of the basics of my projects. Other basics that I have is like I want to work with minority actors, just because I am from a minority group as well. So I just want to give that diversity more possibilities.
Okay.
And also international stories. I am from Colombia, but I also Canadian. So I have constantly 3 countries in my mind. My sister lives in Spain like 20 years ago, and I studied film in Spain. So I have like a mix of influences. And I always been thinking on global problems, relationship between North and South in terms of inequality. So poverty, migration, all these issues is mostly the basics for the stories that I write. And of course, I try to make them in a way that is important for the audience to enjoy a product that is really good in quality, good image, good sound, good music. And also that creates a reflection, that creates some thinking on a specific issue. After the 5th of November, I directed 2 more short films, and one is about domestic violence. And the main character is a woman that is a migrant that was undocumented, and then she got married to a police officer. So he abuses her a lot. He's very aggressive with her, and she's afraid to do anything because she might get deported. So she lives in that fear, in that shadow. So that's the line of project that I'm working on. All this connected to social issues, inequality, gender issues.
That's great. And we need all of that right now, especially now more than ever.
Yes.
Sakshi, same question. So do you tend to gravitate towards important social issues in your films?
I do. I feel like even if I try writing a film that's just about nothing, I can't. Like it doesn't like work that way for me. I think it's more like observations in the society and the result or consequences of that. Like I'm currently working on a short film that is about consent. It's about a young woman who comes to realize that she has been sexually assaulted by her very own best friend, and the journey that she goes on. And I feel like it's an issue. Like consent is a massive issue. Like I can't even like have a conversation in 5 minutes about it. So yeah, I definitely do tend to gravitate towards that.
That's crazy. Oh, and Kurat, how do you feel starring in all these socially impactful films?
I love it. That's what I like to be a part of. I really, as I said earlier, I really encourage viewers to think about how they fit into society and in the national and the global dialogue surrounding a lot of these issues, because I think we can it's easy to feel that things just happen without us, and it's more empowering to believe that if we are knowledgeable about certain things, then we can take action and make change happen. So these are these films in particular, I feel, have really gone a long way into really changing the minds of viewers and making people think, especially with show and tell, like for parents especially, how would you handle it if your child wants items that don't fit into the gender norms, right? And how would you react, and how would you support or encourage or discourage certain actions, and is it even necessary? And with the 5th of November, what can we do to actually take charge and stop all these mass shootings? I mean, with coronavirus, mass shootings have been at an all-time low, and that's just because schools haven't been in session. I think in early March, there was an article that came out that said mass shootings, there have been mass shootings are gone down to 0. And it's like, yeah, because all the schools are closed.
Yes.
Right. And then like, as soon as we have some protests, look what happens. So everything coincides, everything goes together. And it's important. I'm so grateful to have directors who really, want to make these films that are challenging emotionally, and are also challenging when you're talking about post-production as well, in terms of like marketing the film and trying to get that audience base. Javier edited the 5th of November as well. So I was really grateful to that, to have just one person in charge of everything, and I can just have a communication with him directly and say, well, this is this is the direction that we need to go in with this film.
Nice. All right. All right. So real quick, Javier, are there any other projects you're working on now and you can talk about?
Yes, absolutely. I have 2 short films that have been postponed because of the COVID situation. I was supposed to direct them just a couple of months ago, but right now it's on hold. So 2 short films. One is about the problem of alcohol and drugs abuse. As a father abandoned her family, or a man who abandoned his family. And then like 20 years later, one of the daughters that was 7 years old is in a bad situation. It's like a failing actress that she's not getting any jobs, and they reconcile. They get together and talk, and it's like a love and reconciliation story after the time. That's one of the stories. It's a short film. Another one is a short film about a police officer that is going to be played by the Dominican actress, so it's a minority as well. And she's used as a trap to catch immigrants. And she gets in trouble because she denies some information that allows ICE to detain some people. And it happens to be that was her family that she was protecting. So it's to put her on all the risk. So that short film is also on hold because of the COVID situation. And I hope early in next year to direct my first feature film, which is a project that I've been writing and developing for the last few months, maybe over a year. And that one is about mental health issues. It's a little bit of isolation movie, but not connected to COVID. It's other kind of issues. Still in process.
Wow. Good luck with that. That's a lot on your plate, sir.
And of course, I am always open to hear about new projects, especially if it's related to something interesting. I mean, even if it's a horror movie, but if it has some social commentary, I will say that I will be involved in that. But just like basic horror or just a plain comedy, I don't know. Comedy, I don't do.
Okay. And when and how can people see the 5th of November? It's online, I'm assuming?
The short, we just got distribution for it. So Shorts TV picked it up, and the premiere will be September 20th. And it'll be ongoing from then in North America, but they've also agreed to distribute it globally. So it will be airing in South Asia, EMEA, and Europe.
Latin America.
And South America.
Yeah.
And Sakshi, anything you can talk about now that you're working on?
I did talk about the short film. I think I sort of prematurely told you about it. The film about consent. Apart from that, I'm also working on a feature. It is about immigration and migration and things like that. Which is also something I hope to shoot next year. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
Funding, I guess. Yeah.
All right. And Kurat, how can people see Show and Tell?
Well, the film has been in a few festivals already, and more coming up. I think one is the Connecticut LGBT Festival. I think there's a screening on October 4th. Yeah. And then we're in the Indian Festival of Cincinnati, which will also be virtual in October. So that date is coming up as well.
Great. That's awesome. Congratulations, guys. That's great.
Thank you.
And Kurat, last but not least, what are you working on now that you can talk about?
Just auditioning. Last week was good because I had 10 auditions and I actually booked one. So that was
nice.
So I booked a lead in another short film about a diner waitress whose luck changes. And it's really cool because it requires a lot of nuanced acting, which, I always welcome that, and a lot of surprises in the film for the character. So I'm really, really excited. And then I'm still on my virtual college tour now for my solo plays. So that's been going.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this was amazing, guys. And I want to thank you so much for your films. They they are leaving a lasting impression on me. They deal with some really tough topics, important topics, and I commend each and every one of you for bringing that art and activism to the screen. So guys, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone watching at home and on your devices. I'm Randy Unger, and this has been Under the Radar. I'll see you next time. Take care.